Presenting the Brick House Podcast. The Brick House. Here comes the boom.
Welcome back to the Brick House Podcast. My name is Matthew Brick, and today I'm super excited for you guys to be listening in. Today's episode is a little bit different. Today I want to be doing a devotion, almost like a little word, like a little message from out of the Bible. I shared this devotion this morning at church in front of some of the kid volunteers. I took inspiration from my teacher at school from this, and I'm going to add a few components into it. So I took some inspiration, but today I want to talk about rest. I want to talk about, we'll start with that. But Matthew 11:28, that's where we're going to start. Jesus says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So I think, right, what I want to talk about is the rest part. He says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." He is talking to people who probably are, going through hard things, right? They are burdened, and they are weary. So they're struggling. And this, what I want to talk about today is this idea of rest for your soul. He says, "You will find rest for your souls in me." Basically, he's the one offering this rest. Oftentimes when we think of rest, we think of sleeping, taking a nap, watching a movie, scrolling on your phone on TikTok, whatever. And those can be restful, but oftentimes I think that's not the rest that he's talking about. And oftentimes that rest leaves us more reckless. Not maybe sleep, but you're not getting the rest for your soul, if that makes sense. You might be getting rest for your mind and body, but you're not being at rest. And I think that's something I know for a fact that my soul yearns for. And then he goes on to say, "For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." You might be wondering what a yoke is. A yoke is we're not talking about an egg yolk. We're talking about what Jesus is talking about. It would have been heavily understood at this time because there was that context that we have to look into now. But a yoke is something that was used. Basically, two cows were placed in a yoke. Basically, a thing that binded two cows together to plow for crops so that crops could be made. And so this yoke, it was this boundment of two animals to plow this crop, this field, this crop. And he says, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." If you were in this yoke, if one cow is going faster than the other, it would cause this, because you're in bondment with them, right? If you can paint this picture, this is what I think, but I don't know if you ever did that relay race with a family or a friend, if your arms and legs were binded together by a bandana or something, but if you were to hop, and if one person were to go faster than another, you would fall. So you would have to be going in unison. And it's this idea that God is saying, "My yoke is easy." There is no rough and tough. There is no pull. There is no, there's no roughness to it. It is light. It is easy. He's in unison with us. He's in bondment with us. He's shoulder to shoulder with us. And how good is that, right? He is in bondment with us. And so, right, he gives us this rest. And then what are we supposed to do with this rest? I think so many times, right? If you're at your end or you are feeling reckless, what can you do to feel this rest that God is basically saying here? "Come to me and I'll give you this rest. I will be in unison with you. I will be with you and I'll give you this rest." Something you can do with this rest in a way to maybe even be given away, or even a way for this rest to come on over you, is this idea of remembrance. An example that I like to use is in Joshua 4. Joshua had just crossed the Jordan River, right? Moses led the people out of Egypt through the desert 40 years, and now Joshua's the man. He's the man. is the guy that is leading the Israelite people over the Jordan River. And God has said, leave. He told Joshua, leave 12 stones as an act of remembrance for the Israelite people. And it's this idea that, like, man, when you're feeling reckless, like even this past week, it's like I used like my friends, I used like I thought of all the good things that God has brought me through. And like it gives me a strength, it gives me a rest, it gives me this peace. Rest and peace is actually kind of in a way the same thing, at least in this type of context. But yeah, using remembrance, remembering God and the goodness of God and how faithful He is to you. So my message is that I want to leave with you is find rest in God. He's in there if you're on the if you're in the valleys or in the slums, right? Or on the top of the mountain, I should say. But um, he's there with all, and he's with you in any and all of those places, and so you can find rest in him. And uh, just remember, God isn't gonna leave you. And so yeah, I hope that was cool. I'm learning. But let me pray us out. Lord, I thank you so much for this opportunity that I can do this podcast. Lord, I thank you for the people that are listening, Lord. I pray that you give them um, rest. I pray that you just give them a sound mind, Lord. I pray that that like for the people that are carrying a heavy burden or who are weary or they're feeling exhausted, Lord, when we're at exhaustion, we are more helpless than ever. Like, Lord, I just pray that you just um, restore us, bring redeeming power into our lives, Lord, and bring us this rest for our souls and love for our souls, Lord, because we can't do this alone. So, Lord, I pray that you just give us community, Lord. I pray that you just give us rest. Lord, I thank you so much, and let us remember your goodness to us and your faithfulness. And Lord, you continually bring redeeming power to us. Lord, I thank you, and I thank you for the people listening to this. In your name, Jesus, amen. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you guys liked the content, and I'll be seeing you guys soon. That was the Brickhouse Podcast. See you guys next week. Bye. Love you.